to piggyback off that, what's next?
I think I have the entrepreneur bug fully at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll have you again in a year.
Hopefully, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I would appreciate it. So a lot of things I struggled with during this process, and a lot of them were around mental health issues. So how do you stay positive as you...
After the failure, right?
Well, even before then.
Oh, okay.
Like even just dynamics of stress, anxiety, uncertainty, and how you face those. There's people who are built differently than others. And like my relationship with Mark, one of the reasons I love him is he has just a glass half full perspective almost all the time. And he's a special person because of it. I recognize in myself, I'm not that person. And you go through a lot of struggles on what, why, the how, and you need people to talk to, and friendships are great, but you also need sometimes assistance. So, what I'm looking at starting now is, I utilize psychological and psychiatric help for dealing with depression and anxiety. And I think that, I recognize it in other people. And I think that there's a better method of providing that service to the masses. I think it's an underutilized service, and we need to lower access cost. We need to provide more availability to those services. And I think you can do it through a digital platform, or at least with digital platform help. So right now I'm working on a business model that works through identification and assessment and adoption of the need for mental health services, being both mental well-being, which is a more call it in the normal framework, and also mental illness, which is something I've experienced and that I think a lot of people have a need for assistance. So I'd like to be able to provide easier access to individuals seeking out those services. And I think there's a business model that's being created out of that.
Do you think...
I'm excited. Are you excited?
Yeah. Do you think entrepreneurship is a mental illness?
It's funny. I'll plug another guy who I've never met, but actually was great. Stephen Hayes. Has a podcast called Stigma. Great podcast. Entrepreneurship is not a mental illness, but I do think it attracts certain personality types that do probably disproportionately have mental illnesses associated with that pursuit. So you're not necessarily mental illness if you pursue entrepreneurism, but I do think it attracts a certain individual.
And speaking to those individuals, what do you say to the entrepreneurs behind you?
The entrepreneurs behind me.
Yeah.
Passion's key. Like for me, monotony is a horrible thought process. I simply can't just cut a paycheck and live life. And there's ways to balance life, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you have that mindset of entrepreneurism, you have to do a lot of self-reflection. You have to have passion, ability to execute, ability to work with other people for an idea that was once yours, but you have to give that up as you pursue the idea. And you have to be willing to live with failure. And I thought the latter part was no problem. Like, yeah, you can fail, just do it again. So hard to do. And you really have to do it with open eyes.
Yeah.
But again, done it, been there, hit hard, going to do it again.